So welcome to Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. Welcome to Sunday, March the 3rd, in which I want you to see there is no snow and the roads are clear and dry. Yes. We were here Friday night for our movie night, and I said, let's just get very clear. We will be here this Sunday. The roads will be dry and they will be clear, and all who set forth will travel safely. So here we be. That's what we do in this teaching, and I love it. It's part of what we do. Don't you think it's a gorgeous day? When I set out on the interstate this morning after I left the townhouse, I looked across at this, whatever this mountain is over here, and it was beautifully snow-capped, and it was incredible. It was beautiful. You understand, though, that when you look out in the world, when you look at someone else, when you look at anything and you see beauty, it's only because you see the beauty in yourself. You cannot see something you do not see within, that you do not already know as yours. So when you see beauty out there in the world, when you see love out there in the world, when you see kindness and compassion and God stuff out there in the world, it is simply because you're getting it here. Yeah. And when we see it out there, what happens in here? We feel it more. We watched a movie that Gene gave us called I Am Friday night by Tom Shadyac. Shadyac, I don't know how you say his name. He was the director of Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and Bruce Almighty and Liar, Liar, all kinds of stuff. The guy is phenomenal. And in there he talks, the movie talks about how when we see acts of kindness, when we see acts of love, when we focus on the joy and the good in the world, the vagus nerve fires and our heart expands. Well, what happens then, guys? We send that out. We send that love out, and it has to come back. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's that old thing of whatever you throw out, it comes back to you, the boomerang effect. So you saw that beauty this morning because you are its beauty. You are that stuff. My talk this morning is called The Real Enchilada. And, I don't know where that came from. It popped into my head sometime last weekend when I was thinking about what are you going to do next weekend. And I was like, I have no idea. Boom, The Real Enchilada. Well, I don't even know what that means yet. But the week has unfolded, and now I know a little more. And part of what I found out was where that phrase came from. It's really kind of interesting. I love the internet. I don't imagine how anybody could have lived without it 50 years ago or 100 years ago and do what it is that I do, because I use it so much, and it's such a rich, just a repository of stuff. I couldn't get a definite idea from the expression, the real enchilada or the whole enchilada. But what I did find out was that people think it goes back to the days of Watergate. And you will remember that John Dean went to the Watergate prosecutors and he dumped his guts. I mean, he told the whole story. And everybody in Washington knew that it was going to hit the fan. You can figure out what it is, okay? Same thing as a capital It, but it's a little smellier. So the smelly version of it, I guess. And so Richard Nixon was very concerned, and he went to his attorney, and his attorney got on the phone with somebody and was trying to find out what John Dean told the prosecutors and how much trouble Richard Nixon might be getting into. And his question on the phone was, did he dump his guts? Did he tell the whole story? Did he tell them the real enchilada, the whole enchilada? And so that's where we think the phrase came from. Who really knows? But we understand that when we say that we are the real thing, the real enchilada, we get it, that we are divine. We are first cause. We are the place back of everything else that is. We are part of that God consciousness that is always unfolding. We are God's stuff, truth, in all of its glory. Okay, so now as we start this morning, I want to do something. You will see that I have a glass of water here. It's a very nice glass. I like that glass. Isn't that pretty? And it's got water in it. The glass came with me from my house this morning. And before we proceed, I need a volunteer. Anybody in here want to? Oh, Jennifer, I knew as soon as she walked in the door last Sunday, she was an adventurous soul. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to solicit your answers from the audience. How heavy do you think this glass is? It's a glass full of water.
6 ounces.
6 ounces. We have one bid for 6 ounces. What about
12.
8 ounces? 12 ounces. Okay. So we figured out that it weighs 6 or 8 or 12 or 19.7 or whatever. Okay. So you don't have to stand up. All you need to do is stretch your arm out and take the glass of water. Now I'm going to ask you to hold it there. Okay? You good? All right. I'll be back. I'm not going to leave you there forever. I promise. So Jennifer has the glass of water, and we know that it's 6 or 8 or 12 or whatever, 14 ounces, something like that. Don't drink the water, okay? All right. Now, what I'm really going to talk about is not Mexican food, although I do love it, and it would be great to go out for lunch today at the Mexican restaurant when we leave here. What I want to talk to you about is perception, and how perception unfolds, and literally, when we perceive things about ourselves, we start to set a line that essentially, for want of a better term, could be called a judgment about ourselves. And we're judging ourselves, we're judging things around us all of the time. We're doing it constantly. We're doing it when we're awake and alert and really aware and mindful, and we're doing it when we're not. We're especially doing it then. My friend Chantel has a phrase, and she says that some mornings she gets up and goes off into her world, and it's like she's on default, and things start to happen, and then she wakes up and goes, I need to be a little more aware of what's going out from me, because that's what's coming back to me. We make judgments about ourselves. We do things like apply opinions, good, bad, right, wrong. Oh, it was lovely of me to give that gift to so-and-so. Oh, it was a terrible thing of me to say what I said about that person, rather than just being honest and being, keeping it to myself and maintaining some integrity. So we're constantly in judgment of ourselves. Now, all of you have been here in this room for a while, most of you, you understand that in this teaching, we have a very basic understanding that everything that we are is what is coming back to us. It is kind of the law of karma in warp speed, if you will. It might not be too fast, but it does come back. It's really funny how that happens. About 3 years ago, I had my cat Paddington on my lap. I should have brought a picture of him, darn it. At any rate, Patty was sitting on my lap. Patty was still very young and playful. And I said to him, Patty, we need to get you a little brother. And I think you should be a black cat. I think you should be a little black boy cat. I want you guys to know it took 3 years. Last October, on the anniversary of my mother's death, a little black kitten showed up at my door. He's not the angel that we would like him to be yet, but it's happening. He's becoming normed to my household. We create our reality. Ernest Holmes had a term for that. And he basically said that everything that we are, our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, all of it, the stuff we're aware of, the conscious stuff, and the unconscious stuff, all of that is in every moment pouring forth, and that is what is creating our world. The universe only has one answer for us all of the time, and that answer is yes. How you doing, Jennifer? Okay. All right. Hang on to your water here, okay? Okay. All right. So she's hanging in there. You might have a judgment about what's going on with Jennifer, okay, over here, But we recognize that we are literally transmitting all of the time. Ernest Holmes called all that stuff that is going out from us, he called it our mental equivalent. Now, it's kind of an old-fashioned term because it's really bigger than mental. It's not just thinking stuff. It's feeling, it's vibration, it's all of it. It's what we believe. It's what we don't want to believe. It's what we want to see happen. It's what we don't want to see happen, okay? Because anything that we are intensely about is what is being revealed to us in any moment. If there is something that you are so extremely terrified of having happen in your life that it keeps you awake at night, or when you think about it, you begin to breathe and feel anxiety and anxiousness, you need to work on that. I love you, okay? I encourage you to do something with that, because if you do not, someday you will meet it, okay, in your real life, and there's no point in that. We don't have to create sadness or pain or misery ever. We are here to be light beings. I know that. So this mental equivalent stuff, it is the sum total of all that we are. It is going forth. Okay? It is coming back to us in every moment. And we checked with you, didn't we? You're doing okay there? Yeah. Okay. All right. She sounds a little stressed, guys. I don't know. Let me just ask the audience, how heavy do you think the glass of water is now?
100 pounds.
100 pounds? 150. Jennifer agrees.
It's heavier.
Okay. It's heavier than that. She's gotten heavier, hasn't it?
It's gotten heavier.
Isn't that amazing? Okay, so I'm going to speed things up here. Okay. So I mentioned that mental equivalent stuff, and I said that it's everything, guys. It's all the stuff we're conscious of, but it's also all the stuff in our subconscious. Stuff that we carry from who knows when, and I don't even care anymore. Do y'all want to know? I have worked on myself so long and so hard for so many years. I have absolutely refused to rest when it came to moving along the path of spiritual growth and emotional, if you will, evolution. Okay? I didn't come to this path because I wanted to come to this path. Well, I probably did want to on some level. Okay? But, it wasn't conscious. I came here because they told me, if you don't, you will go back to living the way you used to live, and you will freaking die, and it will be long and hard and ugly before you go. And I said, shit, I think I'd rather pray. Okay? So here we are. That subconscious stuff, where we get to, is made up of all those crappy little judgments that you have about yourself. Think about what you look at. Think about what you say to what you look at when you look in the mirror. I hope it will never leave my consciousness that Barbara Waterhouse, one of my first teachers of this teaching, said one of the best things you can do is take it off, baby, in front of the mirror every day and look at yourself and see what comes up for you emotionally and see how you feel about the self that you are. Because God don't, there is no place where God is not. God don't make no junk. That stuff that is living inside you, whether you find the wrapper tasteful or not, whether you find your behavior loving or not, whether you find your thoughts loving or not, there is no place that the divine isn't present. So quit beating that stuff up on yourself. Now you might think, I don't really have too many negative judgments on myself. I'm like Barbara. Okay, I've done all this work. I've cleaned my act off. I go to bed loving on myself, and I get up in the morning loving on myself, and I look in the mirror and go, God, you're beautiful. Okay, and you do need a haircut. Maybe I just got one. That kind of thing. But then, wait a minute. What about the last time you had an argument with someone? Or maybe it was really like kind of a serious argument too. Maybe it wasn't loud. Maybe it was just kind of like, what's the song? The first cut is always the deepest. Okay? And it kind of, still, you feel that tenderness, that wound hasn't healed. What is the judgment you hold around that? What is the attitude, the opinion you have, not only of that other person, but of yourself? Because there's some thinking there. You haven't let it go, and there's a reason you haven't let it go. There's a reason that it hasn't gone away. There's a reason that it hasn't healed. Okay? It probably has to do with judgment. Now, what about those of you in here who are parents? Okay? That is a job that is pretty much impossible to feel consistently good about. Anthony's got kids. How do you feel when you look back at your life as a dad?
Good.
Good. I'm glad you feel good. I look back at my life as a mom and I go, there are places that are amazing. And I'm so filled with gratitude at the people who came into this world called my children. Okay? And then there are places where I go, I think I failed miserably. And yet, in that, looking at that, whether I see it as good, whether I see it as not good, whether I see it as complete or incomplete, I have made a judgment about it. And it's an amazing thing about judgments. Once we judge something, we literally kind of set it in stone. We hold it in a place where we have trouble shifting from that belief. What about those of you who have taken Science of Mind classes, so you've learned about doing things like spiritual mind treatment, and yet when you think about where you were when you learned that and where you are today, you think, oh my gosh, how can I call myself a science of mind person, a religious scientist? I could be doing this so much better. Anybody in here ever have thoughts like that? Yeah, sure we do. Because we are in judgment of ourselves. When was the last time you felt guilty about something? Because guilt is nothing. It is nothing but a judgment. We have literally held the knife to our own throats and called ourselves wrong. by doing that. Thomas Merton, the Catholic writer and mystic, tells us their job is to love others without stopping to inquire whether or not they are worthy. You are one of those others. In fact, you are the first one. Okay? The judgments that we carry can be invisible to superficial consideration, but like the glass of water, they carry much weight. And so now I'm going to take this back. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you so much. Someone will massage your arm afterward, okay? We'll all love on it, okay? Gracious. So that example of the glass of water was nothing but an experiential presentation, a present. Okay, it didn't feel like a present, did it? Okay, it's a present that shows that what we can take on so effortlessly through a simple thought, through a belief, through looking at the world and going, okay, just kind of like that. I don't know if you guys hear that voice in your heads, but I hear that voice. What we do is we literally assign a value, and that literally becomes a subliminal thing that we are carrying with us all the time. Years ago, I used to be married to my second child's dad. I had to think about, I have to count. Sometimes on my fingers I'll do that. I only have 2 kids, so fortunately it's not too complicated. And he is an amazing man. He's still walking around in the flesh as far as I know. And he used to use this analogy that was phenomenal. Okay? And you can do this with me if you want to. We won't do it for as long as we asked Jennifer to hold the glass. He used to say that if you take your finger and you put it in your eye, it feels wrong. Okay? I can't do that for too long. Whoa, get too busy. Okay. If you put your finger in your eye, it feels wrong. Okay? Now, if you walk around like that for the rest of the morning, what do we got? 15 minutes left. Okay? It will be a little different. And then if you keep that finger in there until dinner time, it will be a little more different. If you keep that finger in there for a couple of weeks, you won't even notice that you're walking around with your finger in your eye. People might come up and go, is this something they all do at that church? I don't know. Okay, I'm not going back there. Okay. But you will begin to get so used to that finger in your eye that if you take that away, it will feel wrong. Okay? And each and every one of us has done this with our judgments, with our beliefs, with our opinions of ourselves. You know what they say about opinions. Everyone has one. It's just like a very nice kind of smelly part of your anatomy there, okay? Is that what we're here to do? Ernest Holmes in his teachings tells us the rose exists to express beauty. Why are you here? You are here to express God. You are here to be divine light in everything and everyone, with everyone, through every word that you speak, think, say, have, do, every feeling, every breath, all that you are. That divine substance simply exists so that it can flow through you. And the saying is said that if anything changed with any one of us, if any one of us stepped off this planet, made the choice to leave, I think that was in our movie Friday night, the world would be significantly different, because we are meant to be here as the expressions of the divine, to be life unfolding. Phenomenal. I got a question to ask you. Go back to that thinking about the last time you felt guilty for something, the last time you looked at yourself in the mirror and recriminated yourself because your hair was too long or too short, or your body didn't look the way you wanted it to, or maybe you hadn't been in full integrity the way that you could have been with something. It might even have been yourself. I have a question about that. Would you lay that crap on God? Because you just did. That's what we do when we judge. One of the things, when Phoebe Gibbs was here last week and she talked to us about access consciousness, when I started to read those materials, I just was flabbergasted that with all of the therapy and all of the, some of you understand 12-step work and all of that intensity, all of the spiritual stuff I have applied and internalized and taken on in my life that I still judge myself, that I still hold myself in a place of wrong or not yet good enough or not complete or not whole. And every one of us do that to ourselves. Access consciousness says from the very point that you see a gender of yourself, you have begun to label and create judgment around. And isn't that true? Okay? If you think about, well, I don't do that, I'm just a woman. Well, you know, what I think about women is we don't have very big muscles. So we can't move big, heavy stuff. We have to get a guy, okay, to fix it, you know? Or if my car breaks, I'm not fooling with that, I'm a woman. Where's Mike? Okay? Fortunately, Mike has got a very practiced response to that. He's very good with that. Okay? You know, sometimes we have stereotypes about women are supposed to be the one who does the cooking. Or you get to do the dishes. Okay? Or you get to do the housework. Okay? We still hold some of that BS in our heads. And it's just a simple judgment. We can let go of it as easily as we took it on. Now there's a way to do this that I love. Okay? When you get ready to go to bed, you get into the covers there, under the covers there, and you get settled tonight. Just take a few breaths. And then if you would imagine a whiteboard, you can even look at the whiteboard we have back here in the wall. We're so clever here. This space serves as our classroom too. So we have our whiteboard for when we have classes here in a couple of weeks that will start up. Look at your whiteboard in your mind and then think about the day. And if there's anything that sticks, that you don't feel good about, that perhaps was difficult or painful, put a few words on the whiteboard. Okay? Maybe you had an interaction with your neighbor and it wasn't what you would have liked it to be. Okay? So summarize in a couple of words. Put that on your whiteboard in your mind. Okay? Perhaps you looked at your checkbook and went, okay, I did whisper that, didn't I? Oh hell, how am I going to get out of this now? Okay? Within that thought, there's a judgment. There isn't enough. I haven't done well enough at bringing it in or holding on to it or spending it in the right fashion or not spending it at all. So you've created a judgment. So maybe you've got an issue about money. There's a judgment there. Maybe many. Okay? Perhaps you've got a cat. Okay? And the cat, yes, and the cat gives you get in your bed at night and you're like Betty, and I used to have this issue when I had Mr. Wally. I would get in bed at night and, oh God, I hope he doesn't keep me awake all night, okay? Yeah, so I would literally be setting stuff up so to make sure, I mean, I know Wally felt that when I said I would be on the top story of the townhouse and I could feel him wake up downstairs. I told him to wake her up now, okay? She just had a thought about me. I swear it works that way. So, you know, put the cat on the whiteboard, okay? Put everything that comes into your mind that's painful or difficult that went on during the day up there on that whiteboard. Every bit of it. Throw it all up on the whiteboard, okay? Just let it go. Now, we're not done yet, though. You're going to look within you some more, and you're going to find out, what do I feel good about? Well, I went, you know, I'm working right now at H&R Block, and I did a tax return, and it was really complicated, and it was challenging, but I did it all by myself. I didn't have to have 4 other tax preparers help me, and it was really cool, and the people were happy, and I made money, and, you know, the clients walked away. They'll be back next year, and they'll probably ask for me. Okay, yeah, right, okay. Put that on the board, too. Why would you put the good stuff up there? Because the good stuff's great. You want more of that, don't you? You want more of that. I have a phrase here. This is so amazing. When we have decided we have something right in our lives, we stop receiving. We literally stop receiving, not receiving, okay? We literally say, this is good enough. I don't need any more. This is awesome. This relationship I have with this person is wonderful. I don't need it to get any better, okay? So we literally stop the progress. Have you ever noticed that you get to feeling really good about something? And then it like kind of just, you know? It's like, it doesn't feel so good anymore. I wonder why. It's because we have held on to that good with both hands. And by doing that, we have said, okay, I can't have any more. this is as good as it gets. Quit assigning a value to it. Quit making a judgment about it, because you alone hold the reins to how good it gets. So you put the good stuff on that whiteboard in your mind. The good stuff about, oh my gosh, I got paid today and it was even more money than I thought it would be, and it feels so great to have money, and I can actually go to the grocery store tomorrow and I can buy 2 bags of cat food instead of 1, or I'm going to go buy, I'm going out to buy some clothes, or, I'm getting ready to find a new car or something, okay? Put that stuff up there too. Every single bit of it. Pour everything that you had any emotion, any judgment, any feeling about up onto that whiteboard. And when you're done, when you are in that place, and what you read was so beautiful, Stacy, about nothing, when you are in that place where you feel empty, when you feel nothing, okay, that's the point at which you do the next piece. The next piece is you got an eraser, and you just simply erase it all. You erase the good. You erase the bad. You erase the ugly. You erase everything, everywhere. Get rid of it all, okay? And you start out with a nice, clean, white board as you go to sleep. Okay? And when you do that, remember a couple of weeks ago, we had the Science of Mind symbol up here, and we talked a lot about the top third of that is really the place from which everything that is begins. It's, it's the place back of all that is. Okay? It is the place of pure, unpotentiated, unthought of consciousness. We move ourselves back into that place when we clean off that board, when we get rid of everything. The good, the bad, the not so good, the not so bad, the in between, the what I wanted and didn't get, the what I got and couldn't believe I was so fortunate to have. Every single bit of it. We put it up there, we erase it, okay? And we say goodnight. And we say thank you. And we open the door for more amazing stuff to show up. It is phenomenal. I have been doing this for a couple of weeks. And it's a mental, can't find the right word. It's a mental confabulation of sorts. I kind of have to walk myself through it. If you haven't noticed, there are moments when I could put my attention deficit stuff up there on my whiteboard, couldn't I, and get rid of that mess. Okay? It's hard for me to stay focused, okay, and carry myself through this process. But what I literally will do is the more that I do this, and then I get up the next day and I go, okay, what's ours to know? What's mine to do? What does consciousness, what does pure undifferentiated life itself want of me? Where do I go? Amazing things happen. Money shows up I'm like, dude, okay, cool. Cats behave. They do. They really do. The infant came, and the one we manifested, me and Paddington, he came and slept on the bed like half the night. I was like, dude, you're acting normal. What's wrong? I thought something was wrong with him for a minute. And then I realized, no, it's because you have changed your perception about how he's going to be, that he's a problem, or that he's young and undisciplined. He came forth in all his glory to be what he was meant to be, which is a happy, joyous creature of love and fur. It's amazing. They call that state, that undifferentiated place, in the Eastern philosophies, they call it equanimity. You don't have any judgment about anything. Pure consciousness never judges. The divine that is you, that's back of you, looks at you, and all it ever sees is love. All it ever sees is perfection. You couldn't do anything wrong if you tried, because there's no such thing as wrong in God's mind. We made that shit up, okay? And I don't know about you guys, but I am so ready to move past it. I am so ready to live a life that is wide open consciousness unfolding, because I get it that all that is there for me is love and goodness and magnificence. It is the stuff that we, each and every one of us, came here to be. Marianne Williamson in her poem, Shine, says, we didn't come here to be little. We came here to be amazing. We came here to be magnificent. We came here to be God calling at every turn. Okay? Yes, we did. So when you go to bed tonight, what are you going to do? Get out your whiteboard. Get out your marker. Fill up your board. All the bad and all the stuff, good. Okay? Let go of every single thing, every place you are so happy you could squeak, and every place that you are so broken you don't know how to fix. Throw it all up there on that board. Get out your eraser. Get rid of it. And let's get ready for tomorrow. I love you. Yeah. Thank you.